Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to share kind of I'm going to go against the grain here, all right? There's a lot of people who, are interested in real estate and they want to invest in rental properties. They can go out and get the books, read all the, kind of the tactical information on how to buy a rental property. There's no shortage of YouTube videos out there that actually goes over, kind of at a high level how to purchase rental properties and how, real estate is used to build wealth, right? And how, even small time investors can win big in real estate. But I think what is not shown enough is the bad things that can go wrong in real estate investing. So I'm going to share with you guys today just a couple stories that I've seen or that I've heard about or that I just found on the internet. And I'm also going to give you guys some of my own experience and my own insights when I actually owned rental properties not too long ago. But I ended up, just long story short, I ended up selling out of almost all of my rental properties because of the headaches and sleepless nights. So I want to start with the very first one, the very first story. All right, so rental property investing, people get really excited. You hear it and you see it all the time. One person owns 30 units, another person owns 50 rental properties. Maybe it's a small time investor and they might own just 10 properties or maybe 5 properties, right? And they have these huge amounts of money coming in every single month. Oh, we're getting $25,000, we're getting $60,000, we're getting $100,000 in income, and that all sounds fantastic. But again, what's not discussed enough is the problems that come from owning rental properties, right? Or owning real estate in general. Rental property investing is not for the faint of heart. Okay, there can be some very big challenges and it can absolutely put you in a world of hell, especially when dealing with tenants. All right. Despite best efforts, despite, hiring the best property manager in the area, despite vetting tenants, despite all the things you're supposed to do, you can still run into some really big headaches. So let me share with you just a couple of stories and I'm going to get into my own experiences and my own insights. All right, so let's get into it. So the first story I got up is going to be this one. So this is coming from entrepreneur.com, and I'll put a link down below in the description for you guys for this article. But basically, a tenant stopped paying rent and listed his landlord's home on Airbnb. The landlord says he's now stuck living in his van. Now, unfortunately for this person, and this was last year. This was late last year, November 14th, 2023. And this story or a story like this is not, unique. There's hundreds and thousands of these types of stories out there where, good, hardworking people will go out and they want to build a dream for themselves. They want to invest in real estate. They want to build wealth. They want to exit the rat race. They want to do all these great things, and they go into real estate with a very rosy lens, right? That was the same pitfall that I fell into. I fell into that same exact trap. But, real estate, it does have its pros and cons, okay? Just like anything in life and anything in investing, real estate also has some of its drawbacks like this, what you're seeing on the screen. How does a homeowner end up living in a van when he has a home and the tenant is living and not paying rent, right? Imagine the stress that homeowner has to go through every single day, knowing that he or she has a home that they could live in, but they can't. And they still have to make the mortgage payments and they still have to, or they still have to pay the property tax. They probably still have to pay a utility, right? Maybe water or maybe the trash. I don't know, right? But they still have to pay this. And look at this. He says the tenant owes nearly $50,000 and has refused to leave the home for months. I've been through an eviction process and it took a very, very, very long time, right? Minimum 90 days, right? Minimum 90 days. That's 3 months that you're not getting a rental check. Okay. And that is money that you owe to the mortgage company that you have to pay. Okay. That's why in real estate, if you're going to own rental properties, you better have at least 6 months worth of reserves. All right. So yeah, the pair are fighting it out in court, and next hearing is scheduled for March. So November 14th, 2023, they had a new court date set for March 2024. That's December, January, February, March, right? That's like that's 4 months. That sucks, right? And I had read this article some time ago, and I felt so bad because I was in that same position. I had a tenant, and this was during the pandemic. But basically, I didn't get a rental check for a year and almost a year and a half, right? And I was battling it out in eviction court, so that added to the timeline, and it was bad. But anyways, yeah, this is what can happen in rental property investing. So you got to be very careful. Okay. And I bet this is in a good area, close to good schools, probably close to, a lot of like he probably bought this rental property, or he owned it, and maybe it was just in a nice area, and then he moved out, and probably rented somewhere else, probably closer to work. He started that generational wealth thing. He's trying to build up his assets. He's investing in properties, and this is sadly what happened, right? Really, really sad. So, excuse me, I'm still getting over my cold. So let's look at another one. And this one is from Canada, right? Same exact type of story. Man sleeping in his car says tenant owes more than $31,000 and won't leave his rental property. Ontario's government says it's working to speed up hearings at landlord and tenants board. But again, same type of thing, same type of story, right? Just a different country. And he's been sleeping in his car. His tenants he's been unable to evict haven't paid their rent. Marco, 33, lost his marital home in a separation agreement in January. He still owns an income property, a 2-suite house in Collingwood, Ontario, but says his upstairs tenant hasn't paid up since June, and the one downstairs hasn't since February. So that sucks, right? That sucks. I'm covering all housing expenses, the mortgage and property taxes, and can't afford to rent in this terrible financial situation he's in. He's drowning in debt. I know exactly what he's going through, right? I know exactly what he's going through because I was paying the mortgage on 2 properties where the tenants were not paying rent. And it was drowning. It was like literally I'd get paid and most of my money was going to go towards the mortgage payments. And it was insulting, especially because the property manager, they had their hands tied behind their back and they weren't really going to do anything. They weren't going to push anything. And I tried to do a cash for keys. Tried to do a cash for keys, and it didn't work out, right? The tenants refused. And even though the county and the city was offering free money to renters to, basically use to cover their rent, the renters in my properties did not want to fill out the paperwork. So I was getting like triple screwed there. So again, this is just something that happens in rental property investing. And I don't think it's really discussed enough. Again, everyone gets, rosy tinted glasses when we're talking about rental property investing, and it is great to build wealth, but there is downside risk, right? There's a lot of downside risk, a lot of variables. Now, excuse me, I know what some might be thinking, right? Rental property investing, that's not for me. I'm seeing all these other guys do great things with Airbnb. I'm going to go with Airbnb because it's safer. I don't own the property. I'm just subletting, or I'm, doing rental arbitrage is what they call it. So, okay, that's cool. Yeah. Squatters will move into Airbnbs and then just never leave, right? Airbnb host has been fighting to get squatters out of her home for months. The company and the cops say there's nothing they can do. And this was from earlier this year in July of 31. So Airbnb is saying there's nothing further they can do besides telling me to call the cops. Superhost and correctional officer Takesha Darden told The Independent, right? There's the link up there. So again, even with Airbnbs, right? Even Airbnb hosts, they can feel the same pinch, right? They can still have people come into their homes and not pay. And now the owner or you, who's the Airbnb host, now you guys have to fight it out in court, which could take months, right? Which could take a long, long time. So yeah, even people who do Airbnbs can feel the pinch. All right. And again, this goes to a couple of different things, right? Especially where you're buying your rentals or where you're doing your Airbnbs. Typically, and not to make this political, typically red states will have better laws in place to make it fair for landlords, whereas in bluer states, they tend to favor the renter more so. And again, this is not to make it political, and I get it. Renters have rights to, absolutely, unequivocally, 100% sure, right? Like, for sure. Renters absolutely need to have their own rights to protect themselves. But people think landlords or, real estate investors are these big evil mega corporations, and that they're all evil. More so than not, they're just mom and pops. They're just like you and me. We all came from humble beginnings, and we wanted to do something. We wanted to reach this American dream. And, unfortunately, it's just, some things get in the way. So, yeah. Anyways, enough about that. Here's one last story. Insurance nightmare, right? And this is from NBC. So, I'm sorry, guys, for the ad. Yeah, sorry for the ad. Anyways, oh no, this is the news video. So recently, in Florida and on the East Coast, there was 2 hurricanes that hit, and again, this is despite doing everything you were supposed to do, buying the insurances, the protections, all that stuff, right? Did everything you were supposed to do, and you still got screwed, right? Still, this has not happened to me, thankfully. But this is the worst thing. Like, this is the most, imagine buying a property, doing everything right. You buy the best insurance possible with the maximum amount of protection. You're paying every single month your insurance. And then when it comes time to use it, you can't use it. You get denied. They make it hard for you. They say, no, the paperwork's wrong. Or, no, you're denied, right? For one reason or another. So insurance nightmare unfolded in Florida for homeowners after the back-to-back hurricanes. Many victims facing catastrophic losses due to water damage or just walking away. Bridget Bello thought she'd taken proper precautions to protect against Florida's notorious hurricanes, having purchased flood insurance as well as a separate hurricane-specific policy, in addition to her regular homeowners coverage. So she had 3 different types of protections. Yet nearly 2 weeks after Helene hit, and even before Milton had arrived, what Bello, 54, describes as an insurance nightmare has only begun. She said she already faces delays and denials on her damage claims. We did everything we were supposed to do. Who lives near Barrier Island, Madeira Beach community outside of Tampa. We did everything to protect ourselves and protect our home. So again, even if you do everything right, everything you're supposed to do, things come out of left field, right? This is why I always say, if you're going to invest in rental properties, it is not for the faint of heart. Okay? Not for the faint of heart. On top of possible lawsuits from tenants, on top of long eviction processes, on top of all the crazy stuff that can happen in rental property investing, it is not for the faint of heart. You can't go into this with rosy tinted lenses. Okay? So let me share, let me get this out of the way. Go back to my black screen here. So, excuse me. I just want to share kind of my own experience with rental property investing. And I probably did it the wrong way. I mean, to be honest, I was living overseas. I was working in Iraq at the time, and I bought my first rental property in 2018, if I remember. Now, I bought all my properties this way. So this is probably the worst way you could have done it. But really, the same issues that these people were facing, I was also facing as well. So I owned 4 rental properties. And 2 of the rental properties were in Chicago. One rental property was in Ohio, and another rental property is in Louisiana. Okay, so they were kind of spread all over the place. And the ones in Chicago were by far the worst experiences I've ever had. I owned a triplex and a single family home. Uh, the single family home, I was told by the county that I could no longer rent. And this was after the pandemic was like pretty much subsiding. It was no longer in the news, none of that stuff, right? And I had my property manager actually tell me that the county is not going to allow me to rent my place. I owned the rental property, and they told me I was not allowed to rent my place, right? So they only left me the one option: sell the property. They didn't give me a rhyme or reason, and they wouldn't tell me why. So I ended up selling the property after taking a massive loss, but I actually ended up breaking about even because of the gain of the house. So that is pretty much that house, right? I ended up taking whatever profit I could from that property and just rolling it into the stock market, right? I was done with the headaches. I was so sick of it. The triplex was actually in Chicago, and it was in South Shore, if I remember. And it was doing really well up until a point. And I bought this triplex, at the end of 2020, or at the beginning or end of 20, I can't remember. No, it was at the beginning of 2020. Sorry, I'm getting all mixed up here. But I bought that property, and it was doing really well. And then the pandemic happened, and I get it. You know, people lost work, people lost jobs, things like that. And you know, I'm fine with that. Like I get it. People are human. People have bigger to worry about. They got bigger stuff that is going on in their lives. Totally understand. You know, but what I did not appreciate was when the property manager, and maybe the property manager was lying to my face, right? I mean, I couldn't. How would I know, right? But the property manager was going to these people and telling them, "Hey, fill out this paperwork. We can get the back rent." None of them wanted to fill it out, right? None of them wanted to fill it out. I tried contacting the tenants. None of them wanted to pick up their phone. But when things weren't getting done by the property manager, and again, this is why even though you have a property manager in place, they could still screw you, right? Repairs weren't getting done, right? I had to pay for repairs, even though these tenants were not paying their rents. I still had to pick up the bill for taxes. I still had to make sure the water was paid, right? That the trash was taken care of. I still had my responsibilities. And it was a horrible, horrible, gut-wrenching, sleepless night type of scenario. But again, you don't really hear about these stories or really see this on YouTube. You just see the oh, I'm making so much money. You know, you make $300, $400, $500 a month, you know, off these rental properties. Not the case for me. And of course, you know, it just is what it is, you know. I mean, it's my own lesson learned. So that was those properties, right? The one in Ohio did exceptionally well. Actually, it was really well. But the problem was that there would always be a repair or something that wiped out the entire cash flow for the year. And I pretty much, it appreciated so much in value. I was like, I just want to take some chips off the table and then reinvest the money somewhere else, which I did, which was basically into the REIT portfolio that you guys have seen. So I still own a rental property in Louisiana. I do want to sell out of it at some point, just kind of waiting for that to happen. I got to wait for the tenants to move out. You know, they've been great tenants, fantastic tenants. The property manager, fantastic property manager, right? There'd be no rhyme or reason why I should sell it, but I just want to because I want to exit the rental property game. I've been investing a lot of my money into real estate syndications and REITs, as you guys know. So that's where I'm putting a lot of my money. And, you know, the property, according to like Zillow or Truly or Redfin, you know, has appreciated in value. So again, I just want to take some chips off the table. But yeah, that is pretty much it, guys. Like, investing in real estate, you know, you can make some good money. You absolutely can. There's 100 ways to make money in real estate. You could wholesale. You could invest in. You could be a private money lender. You could invest in notes. You can invest in rental properties. You can do Airbnbs. You can do wholesaling. There's so many ways to invest in real estate, right? You can invest in REITs. So it's just you got to choose what makes sense for you, right? If you're going to invest in rental properties, typically you need to have like a really good down payment. Now, the way around that is if you have an FHA loan, right? You can buy your first property, maybe like a duplex, and house hack it, as they call it, where you live in the bottom floor and the tenant lives in the top, right? That is one way. So anyways, guys, I think that's going to do it for this video. I just wanted to share that with you because I don't think it's talked enough about in the real estate space. Everyone has these really rosy peachy videos and like books out there that just talk about everything that's great, and then of course they try to sell you something afterwards. But they talk about how great it is, how passive real estate investing can be, how this and how that, but they never really talk about the downside or the big problems that can come from owning real estate. Don't get me wrong, real estate is still my favorite asset class. I wouldn't trade it for anything. So hope you guys liked the video. Hope you guys got some valuable insights from this video. I'll put a link down below to these articles so you guys can read them yourself. And again, just quick shout out to my Skool community. If you guys want to join, I'll put a link down below in the description. Let me know, are you guys interested in investing in real estate? Does this video scare you? Would you rather keep it passive and just invest in stocks or even cryptocurrency? Let me know what you guys are investing in. I'd be happy to hear what your guys' experience is with investing in real estate. All right, guys, that'll do it for me.